Following the end of the Second World War, the wartime alliance between the United States and the Soviet Union dissolved, leading to a division of Europe along ideological lines. This division was starkly embodied by the city of Berlin, which was located deep within the Soviet occupation zone of Germany but was itself partitioned into 4 sectors, with the western sectors controlled by the US, Britain, and France. In June 1948, the Soviet Union initiated a blockade of West Berlin. The action was a response to currency reforms introduced by the Western Allies in their occupation zones, a move the Soviets viewed as a threat to their economic control. The blockade severed all rail, road, and canal access to the city's western sectors, cutting off supplies to over 2 million inhabitants. The administration of President Harry S. Truman chose to respond not with a direct military challenge, but with a massive logistical operation. What followed was the Berlin Airlift. For 11 months, American and British aircraft flew continuous missions, delivering essential supplies like food and fuel. At the operation's height, aircraft were landing in West Berlin at a rate of 1 every 30 seconds.
Many thoughts went through my mind. How does a city blockaded from the rest of the world survive? Where does food come from? Medicines, coal for heat, and the making of electric power, raw materials for the factories. And what about milk? I was told that 6,000 newborn babies would die. The Kremlin was telling the people of Europe that the United States would back away from any military risks. West Berlin was under siege. This is an ancient military procedure. They say it comes from a Latin word meaning sere, which means to sit down. Sit down in front of a town and try to make it surrender. Well, they had that situation developed, particularly at Vicksburg in Mississippi, when Grant was in command down there. The food became so scarce that they ate all the animals that were loose in Vicksburg, including rats and mice. And the going got so rough that people could hardly walk on the streets. So in the long run, they had to surrender, which they did. On June 24th, 1948, the blockade of Berlin was total. And on that day at home, practically the same time, the Republican convention was nominating a candidate for president that was to run against me that fall. He did run. His name was Thomas E. Dewey. He didn't become president, though, for some reason or other. People were wondering what I would do. Europe was waiting. The Russians were waiting to see whether or not the Berlin crisis would be met. And, of course, it could not be met unless I could be reelected. Nobody thought I could even be nominated, but I fooled them just a little bit. Our position in blockaded Berlin was precarious. If we wished to remain there, we would have to make a show of strength. But there was always the risk that Russian reaction might touch off a catastrophe. There was always a chance that some trigger-happy Russian pilot might light a powder keg and create a situation that would cause trouble for all of us. They were all worried, everybody was worried about what would happen. I called a cabinet meeting on June the 25th. I told them that the Russians had dropped all pretenses of technical difficulties. I made it abundantly clear that the blockading of Berlin was a major political propaganda move. They were determined to force us out of Berlin. They were bringing us to the brink of war. In my diary, I wrote, "I have a terrible feeling that we were very close to war." Generals are always pessimists, you know. And General Clay had told us we couldn't get an armored convoy through to Berlin, and I believed him. I think he knew what he was talking about. General Vandenberg said if we assembled all the planes we could get our hands on, we'd leave naked places in other parts of the world, although there was peace in other parts of the world, and we had control of the sea and the air. And I didn't see any sense in letting this thing go out the window by not trying everything that was possible. You think about a lot of things when you have to make a decision like that. You think about our young men, the youngsters who are in the army that'll be killed. You think about cities that'll be wiped out by the atomic bomb. But the decision had to be made. I made the decision. We would stay in Berlin come hell or high water.
By May 1949, the success of the airlift was undeniable, and the Soviet Union lifted the blockade. Direct military conflict was avoided, but the event solidified the division of Germany and Europe.